Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 2009 United States 1-cent coin known as the birth and early childhood Lincoln penny, the famous log cabin design. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. The year was 2009, and America was celebrating something truly special: 200 years since the birth of Abraham Lincoln, and 100 years since his face first appeared on the penny. To honor this milestone, the U.S. Mint released 4 different reverse designs that year, each telling a chapter of Lincoln's life story. The first design, and the one we're talking about today, shows a simple log cabin tucked into the Kentucky woods, the humble place where young Lincoln began his journey. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary coin. But look closer, and you'll see incredible detail in that tiny cabin: the texture of the logs, the doorway, the field behind it. It's a miniature masterpiece in your pocket. Millions of these coins were struck, but not all are created equal. Some have secrets that make them extremely valuable to collectors and coin lovers around the world. So, what makes certain 2009 birth and early childhood pennies rare? Let's start with errors. During minting, a few coins left the presses with doubled dies, where the design elements, like the logs or the lettering, appear slightly doubled. Under magnification, these errors look fascinating, almost like the coin is vibrating. These double die errors are among the most desirable features collectors chase. Then there are off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even plating issues where the copper layer didn't bond properly, creating stunning visual effects. Another factor is condition. Coins that were pulled straight from mint rolls and never entered circulation, known as uncirculated or mint state coins, hold the highest value. The shinier and cleaner the coin, the more collectors want it. Even a small scratch can reduce the worth dramatically, so if you have one that looks brand new, it's worth taking a closer look. Now for the part everyone's waiting for: how much are these coins actually worth? In ordinary, circulated condition, these pennies are worth just 1 cent. But for uncirculated examples, the price can rise to a few dollars depending on grading. However, coins with major mint errors or perfect mint state condition can reach far higher prices at auction. A verified double die version or a flawless uncirculated coin has sold for around $50 to $60. And the rarest, most dramatic mint error versions, such as broad-struck or off-center examples in top grade, have reached around $600 at auction. That's right, a tiny coin that once jingled in someone's pocket could now be worth hundreds of times its face value. Not bad for a penny, so, the next time you get change at the store, take a moment to check those coins. You might be holding a small piece of American history, and maybe even a hidden treasure. The 2009 Lincoln birth and early childhood penny isn't just money, it's a story of where greatness began, a symbol of humble origins, and a reminder that sometimes, even the smallest things carry the biggest value. Top 2, we're taking you on a fascinating journey into the world of the 1967 Lincoln penny, one of the most talked about coins among collectors, full of mystery, errors, and hidden value. So grab your magnifying glass, because this little copper coin might surprise you. Let's start with the basics. The 1967 Lincoln penny was minted during a very unusual time in U.S. coin history. The nation was facing a massive coin shortage in the mid-1960s, and because of that, the U.S. Mint made a bold move: they removed mint marks completely for the years 1965, 1966, and 1967. That means every single penny from that year looks the same, whether it was made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. No little letter under the date, no clue where it was born. This alone makes 1967 stand out in coin history. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Even though billions were produced, not all 1967 pennies are created equal. There are rare varieties, unusual minting mistakes, and special finishes that make some worth far more than 1 cent. One of the most famous is the double die obverse, where letters in the words Liberty or I in God We Trust appear slightly doubled under magnification. These coins are genuine minting errors, and collectors love them. Another rare type is the off-center strike, where part of the design is missing because the coin was struck out of alignment. The more dramatic the error, the higher the value. Some 1967 pennies were also struck as special mint sets, known as SMS coins. These have a sharper strike, more reflective surfaces, and a unique satin-like finish. Collectors treasure these because they show off the Lincoln design in incredible detail. If you ever find one that shines with mirror-like fields and crisp features, you might just have a special mint set penny in your hands. The metal composition also adds charm to this coin. In 1967, the penny was still made mostly of copper, about 95%, which gives it that warm reddish-brown glow. Over time, this composition changed, making these older copper pennies more desirable. And if your coin happens to have a unique color tone, like a deep red luster or rainbow patina, it can increase its collector appeal even more. So what's the real value? Here's the truth coin lovers need to hear. A regular, circulated 1967 Lincoln penny is still worth just 1 cent, but that's not why collectors search for it. An uncirculated example, one that's bright and clean, can fetch anywhere from a few dollars to around $15 depending on grade. A 1967 penny from a special mint set in perfect condition can go much higher. Now, if you're lucky enough to own a coin with a strong doubled die, a dramatic off-center strike, or other rare mint errors, that's where things get exciting. Some of these pieces have sold for around $200, while top-graded examples or spectacular error coins have reached close to $500 at major auctions. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin from 1967 could be worth hundreds if it carries the right characteristics. It's a reminder that treasures often hide in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to find them. So, before you dismiss that old penny at the bottom of your drawer, take a closer look. Check the date, inspect the details, and see if your 1967 Lincoln cent has that extra spark that makes collectors' hearts race. You might just be holding a tiny piece of history that's worth far more than its face value. Top 3, we're talking about one of the most overlooked coins in American history, the 1985 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like any other coin you'd find in pocket change, but this tiny piece of copper-plated zinc hides stories of minting secrets, rare errors, and surprising value that will make you look twice at every penny you see. The 1985 penny carries the familiar face of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that's been with us since 1909. But what makes this year special isn't the design itself, it's what was happening behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint. Just a few years earlier, in 1982, the Mint switched the penny's metal composition from solid copper to a cheaper zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. By 1985, this new material was still relatively new, and production issues caused all sorts of unexpected variations, the kind collectors dream of finding. So what makes a 1985 penny valuable? Let's start with mint errors. Some of the rarest are known as double-die coins, where the design was accidentally struck twice, causing the letters or numbers to look shadowed or doubled. If you look closely at words like Liberty or In God We Trust and notice doubling, you could be staring at a rare find worth serious money. Another exciting variety is the off-center strike, where the coin design is misaligned, leaving a blank crescent of metal around the edge. The more off-center it is, the higher the value, especially if the full date remains visible. There's also the die crack error, where a small raised line or bump appears on Lincoln's face or coat because of a fracture in the mint die. These coins are fascinating to collectors because each crack pattern is unique, no two are exactly alike. Then there's the missing plating error, where parts of the copper coating didn't bond properly, exposing the silvery zinc underneath. These coins look unusual and are instantly recognizable, but that's not all. Some 1985 pennies have extraordinary color toning, rainbow shades caused by heat or chemical reactions over time. Collectors love these natural color changes because they make each coin one of a kind. And if your coin still has its original red shine and no signs of wear, you're holding something special. Now, let's talk about the value that makes people's jaws drop. Most 1985 pennies in circulation are still worth just 1 cent, that's the reality. But uncirculated examples, especially those graded as red mint state coins, can sell for around $5 to $15. A flawless coin with a bright, full red finish, graded MS67 or higher, can bring around $100. Error coins are where things really get interesting. A strong double die or an extreme off-center strike can be worth around $200 to $300 depending on its condition. And the highest auction record for a near-perfect 1985 Lincoln penny in mint state red quality has reached close to $1,000. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny from 1985, the same kind that jingles in your pocket, could be worth hundreds or even up to $1,000 if it's the right one. So the next time you find a 1985 penny, don't just spend it. Hold it up to the light, check for doubling, off-center edges, unusual colors, or that rare missing copper layer. Because hidden inside that ordinary-looking coin could be a collector's treasure waiting to be discovered. Top 4, we're unlocking the mystery behind the 1977 Lincoln penny, a coin that looks simple but carries secrets most people have never noticed. Let's start with the story. The year was 1977, gas was cheap, Star Wars hit theaters, and millions of Americans were dropping pennies into their pockets without a second thought. But the U.S. Mint was busy producing more than 4 billion 1-cent coins that year, each bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the majestic Lincoln Memorial on the back. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about it, yet among those billions are coins that became prized by collectors for their rarity, condition, and fascinating minting errors. This coin was struck primarily in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver, and unlike later years, the Philadelphia mint mark wasn't used. That means the 1977 penny without a letter under the date came from Philadelphia, while those with a D came from Denver. Even though billions were minted, finding one in flawless condition today is far from easy. Most have scratches, nicks, or dull coloring from decades of circulation. But here's where it gets interesting. A small number of 1977 pennies were struck with serious minting mistakes that turned them into collectible treasures. One of the most famous is the double die error. This happens when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice at a slight angle, causing letters or numbers to appear shadowed or doubled. Look closely at the words Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself. If you see doubling, you might be holding something special. Then there are off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned and part of the coin's blank surface shows. The more off-center it is, while still showing the full date, the more valuable it becomes. Another rare and fascinating error is the die crack or die break, thin raised lines running across the coin caused by worn-out minting equipment. Each crack pattern is unique, making every error coin one of a kind. Collectors also hunt for 1977 pennies with unusual color tones, especially those with a rich red or rainbow-like luster. Since these coins were still made of 95% copper, the surface reacts beautifully to light and time, giving some examples a stunning appearance. The higher the shine and the fewer the marks, the greater the collector demand. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to know: the value. Most 1977 pennies in circulation are worth only face value, just 1 cent. But if you have a coin in uncirculated, mint state condition, the story changes fast. A bright, red-colored 1977 penny with no wear can sell for around $10 to $20. A top-graded example, especially one graded MS67 or higher, can reach around $100. But here's the real surprise. Rare mint error coins, like double dies or major off-center strikes, have sold for between $200 and $500 depending on condition. And the rarest high-grade 1977 pennies ever found at auction have fetched up to nearly $2,000. That's right, a coin most people overlook every single day could be worth hundreds or even thousands if it's one of the few with the right combination of condition, color, and minting magic. So the next time you spot a 1977 penny in your change, don't ignore it. Hold it up to the light, check the details, look for doubling, cracks, or unusual shine. You might be holding a tiny copper gem that's been waiting nearly 50 years to reveal its value. Top 5, and last rare coin. Today we are talking about a coin that many people have seen thousands of times, but only a few truly understand its hidden value. The 1980 Lincoln penny, the the 1-cent coin that looks so ordinary in your change, might actually be worth far more than you imagine. What seems like a simple piece of copper could, under the right conditions, be a rare collector's treasure. So stay tuned till the end, because you're about to find out how a penny from 1980 could turn into hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. Back in 1980, America was full of change, literally and figuratively. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, each carrying the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Grand Lincoln Memorial on the back. But even though the design looked the same as previous years, something interesting was happening in the minting process that made certain 1980 pennies stand out. The 1980 penny was still made mostly of copper, 95% copper to be exact, giving it that rich red-brown shine collectors love. Unlike the pennies made just a few years later, which switched to cheaper zinc, this one feels heavier and more classic. Most of them were struck in two major mints, Philadelphia, which had no mint mark under the date, and Denver, marked with a small d. Both produced millions, but some of those coins came out with unique minting errors that now make collectors go wild. Let's talk about those rare errors. One of the most exciting is the double die error. This happens when the die, the stamp that imprints the design, strikes the coin twice at a slightly different angle. The result? Words like liberty or in God we trust look doubled, almost like they're vibrating. That's not wear, that's a minting mistake, and it can mean serious value. Another error is the off-center strike, where the design is printed off balance, leaving part of the coin blank. The more off-center it is, the more valuable it becomes, especially if the date is still fully visible. Then there are die cracks, small raised lines caused when the minting die develops fractures. These can appear on Lincoln's face, coat, or even across the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Each crack is different, which makes every coin unique. Some 1980 pennies even show clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing because the blank metal sheet was miscut. These quirky mistakes are like fingerprints in the coin world. No two are ever the same. Collectors are also obsessed with color and condition. If your 1980 penny still glows with a bright, reddish copper shine, what experts call full red, and has no scratches or dull spots, it can easily be worth far more than its face value. Now let's get to what everyone's waiting for, the value. Most 1980 pennies you find in circulation are still worth 1 cent, but that's where the ordinary ends. A clean, uncirculated 1980 penny can sell for around $5 to $15. Coins in mint state red condition, especially graded MS67 or higher, have been known to sell for about $100. But here's where it gets exciting: error coins. A strong double die or dramatic off-center strike can fetch anywhere from $200 to $300. And the highest auction record for a flawless 1980 Lincoln penny, shimmering with that perfect red finish, reached close to $1,000. Yes, a penny that cost just 1 cent to spend in 1980 has sold for almost $1,000. That's why coin collectors never overlook even the smallest details. So next time you spot a 1980 penny, don't let it slip through your fingers. Look closer, check for doubling, misprints, cracks, or brilliant color. Because that tiny coin in your hand could be a hidden piece of history, and maybe even a hidden fortune. Thanks for watching, coin lovers. If you enjoyed discovering the secrets behind the 1980 Lincoln penny, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and share in the comments if you've ever found a special coin hiding in your pocket change. Remember, sometimes, the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise.